Hello and welcome. And in today's episode, I want to talk to men. And I just felt a sudden clarity about something that concerns men. And I thought, let me share this before it flies off because it seems like a very simple thing. And because it's simple, I might forget. So before that happens, I'm going to share it. And I just want to I want to thank God for giving me this inspiration because only He could have inspired something this phenomenal. Only He could have. I wouldn't have known it myself because it's something I've always thought about, but I've not heard people actually give details on that subject as it just hit me. No one told me except the Holy Ghost. In fact, I was somewhere else on the internet. I was just looking through different things on relationship and stuff like that, and it had nothing to do with this side of relationships. And so this is what just came up for me. And what is the topic or the issue that I want to that this solution that came to me just came up? Now, the issue is when men lose the woman they love. Lose the woman they love in this format or in this way where they are trying to be friends first, and they see that or they believe that maybe she's in a relationship, or maybe they just feel let's be friends first, and they are waiting for some sort of sign that she might be interested in them before they speak. And what happens a lot of times is that they they friend zone themselves literally, or bro zone, or sometimes even uncle zone themselves. I'm just remembering to to be with you. Yeah, to be with you, the Chinese drama where there was this one of the main leads, or one of the major leads there. A character there was in love with a woman for like 10 years. But in his defense, by the time he knew who she was and by the time he fell in love with her, like for him it was even love at first sight. He saw her and he was stunned. He was like, wow, she's amazing. And it just grew for him. But at that time she was already in a relationship. You know those childhood sweetheart things where children meet at a very young age, about maybe 3. Yeah, she was about 3 or so when she met this boy. So, and they've been friends, and it as they grew, right? As they grew, they were the only boyfriend and girlfriend they ever had, right? So it became a given that they were going to marry each other. That was like the plan. And so that had already been established before he saw her. Apparently, she was probably maybe a teenager, late teens, at the maybe the first time he saw her. Yeah, about that. Well, which I'm not even going to go into what I just thought right now. That is going to be a topic for another day. A topic for another day. Um, yeah. So I wouldn't say he loved her for 10 years. I think he knew her for 10 years, but when he realized he loved her is what I don't know. I would like to think it was probably um she was already in her late teens at the time, I guess. So, or early 20s. But notwithstanding, she was already in a relationship, so he could not say anything. That puts a lot of men in a dilemma, right? Because you don't want to lose your integrity as a person because you're trying to pursue someone. Because then it doesn't make you look good in the presence of the person you're even pursuing, right? Because they'll be like, you're only nice when it's convenient for you. When you want something, you become ruthless. So in this case, I think I'm talking about when the woman is single. You get? But even if she's in a relationship, right? You can always let her know that you have feelings for her because you have it anyway. You get what I mean? You're not trying to pursue her, but just let her know that you have feelings for her. I think that is very important. Because then the talk is always about how good men lose the women that they want to be with, that they never, like, it's an unrequited kind of love for them. And this analogy came to mind where, as a man searching for a woman to be with, when you find her, or when her, you begin to get closer to her, like, you can now put a face and a name to it, or even a face to it. I would say begin to pray for her. That's what came to my mind. Like, begin to pray for her as you get closer, as you move closer. Because look at it from this angle. Someone who is a beast in human form is not going to be patient like you. You are genuinely love. So they're not going to be patient because they just want to hit and run. So the sooner they can convince the woman to give what they want to get from her, the sooner they can get it and be out. So you don't wait until you get into her life before you begin to protect her. Because at the end of the day, what you want is for her to be happy. And so she's not going to be happy with a beast in human form. You are going to be hurting while she's in a relationship, in a situationship that is abusive for her, or that is not the right one for her. And you look and you're like, I can do better than this. But then you kept quiet, you didn't say anything. So as you're approaching, look at it from the angle of you're physically searching for somebody. And then you finally see that person, but that person is still at a long distance, right? That person is still at a long distance. As you are approaching that person and the person is beginning to become more recognizable, I'm saying begin to pray. Pray for protection around that person's heart. Pray for protection around that person's soul, spirit, and body. Begin to pray really fervently. And I will say, when you begin your search for the woman you want to be with, you also need to start praying for her protection without knowing how. You can pray for people you don't know. Like, God, the person I would be with, that I'll be happy with, that will be happy with me, that will love each other, that will let me take care of her and I can let her take care of me as well. Father, protect them, guide them, shield them. Like, begin to pray the prayer of protection around them. This way, it would reduce, if not prevent, pretenders, love bombers, and thieves from approaching her. Because every time they try to, they just hit a protective shield. Something will just bounce them back. Like what would you call this thing now? Like an electric shock or something. Like electric protection, that you touch that thing and it bounces you off, that kind of thing. So you need to pray even before you meet her. Begin to pray for her, cover her. Is important. It is important that you always do that for the woman that you're going to be with, right? the moment it sinks into your psyche that you're going to get married, like you want to get married, and the search begins, you have to start praying for her protection. It's very, very important. She needs those prayers because you know your gender too well. Okay? You know your gender too well. You don't want a situation where by the time you now find her, or by the time you get close to her, she's in a relationship. Imagine someone like this guy I said, this character I said was in love with this girl, but she was already in a relationship. Imagine if he had been praying, assuming she was the one for him. Like, he loved her, but I'm not sure she was really the one for him, because she never, even when she got out of a relationship and he was there, she didn't fall in love with him. She fell in love with someone else. So, I mean, it's possible to love someone that will only love you as a friend, as a brother, and that will be it. It will hurt, but make the effort at least in terms of praying. You begin to pray for that person, and also begin to pray for yourself as well, that the person you love will be somebody that you would actually end up with. Not just end up with, but somebody that you would spend a lifetime of love, affection, and passion with. You don't want to fall in love with somebody that would never be able to return those feelings, would never share those feelings with you. You don't want that. So you also have to pray a prayer of protection over your own heart as well, that you don't fall in love with a good person who is not the right person for you, or who would never love you. You also have to pray that for yourself as well. Now we're back to how you handle the issue of loving someone that may or may not love you back. As you're approaching, begin to pray prayer of protection around them. Protection that, they don't fall for lies, for manipulations of, men who don't mean well. You begin to pray that prayer as you're getting closer. And the moment you get close, be sure to state your intentions. It's very important. It increases your chances of being with this person. It increases it. In fact, if you never be with her, it's because it was never meant to be. It won't be because you didn't try. So in other words, once you get close enough to say, hi, hello, I would like to marry you, and I seriously mean it, well, whatever her reaction is, brace yourself. So before you begin to get knowledge of, oh, she's in a relationship and all of that, state your business so that you would not, at least immediately before she has to tell you, oh, I'm in a relationship, or oh, I'm in love with someone else. You get what I mean? And then be her friend. If she says, what? How? Then be her friend. Now, the idea of being her friend, I wouldn't say be her friend though. Now that I think of it, I would say take a step back. Once if you're not getting the answer that you hope to get, which is I'll think about it, or maybe she's in a place where she's open and she's not in a relationship. If you're not there, like if she's not responding that way, or she responds with, oh, I'm in a relationship, or I'm loving someone else, at that point, take a step back. Take a step back. And sometimes they say out of sight is out of mind. You understand what I mean? Because I think it's not even in your best interest to hope that her relationship will fail. You get what I mean? So it has to be something that she has to decide. So take a step back and try what you can to not love her like that. Do you get, like, how will I put it now? Don't let the emotions grow beyond what they are. Don't let your feelings for her grow beyond where they are, because it can only be encouraged to grow when you're in a relationship. You're not in a relationship with her. So do not let it grow. Take a step back. You understand? The only time that you can say being her friend will be okay is if she is unattached, but she's just not on the same, she just doesn't feel you at that point in time. But if she's in a relationship, take a step back and make sure that you don't have feelings beyond what you already have for her. But at least she knows that someone loves her and wants to marry her. That is the best you can do at that point. That you've done all you can. The ball is now in her court. In a situation where you find that she's in a relationship and maybe you see that maybe the guy is not, of course, you can be biased about that. You are confident about how you wanting to love her more. But maybe all the love she wants in a man she's already getting from that man. You might be able to love her more. But sometimes, not sometimes, a lot of times, women are content with who they choose to be with. Let me say that again. Women are content with whom they choose to be with, which means that they could be getting maybe just 10% out of, they could just be getting 10%. And you are there willing to give 90%. But the problem is they don't want you, so they wouldn't want your 90% either. Do you get? But they want this person, and so it's whatever it is they give, that person gives, they see it as a gift and they just accept it. The moment the man begins to act up and be like, I don't want to be here, they'll be like, what do I have to change for you to stay? They don't see it from, oh, you don't want to be with me? Well, you're not giving everything that you ought to give anyway. No. For them, them loving that man is just all that matters to them at that point in time. It just simply all that matters. Interestingly, like, for them, it's just all that matters. And so it's important to understand that she will only choose you for two reasons. One, she can't have who she wants to be with, and she wants to be loved, and you're there. That is her using you. You might think you won't mind, but it is a dangerous situation to be in, because if and when, no, when is more like it, the person she wants comes back, she's going to go to him. She's going to go to him. A woman who would use you for what you have to offer is not beyond 2 timing or 3 timing, or she's not beyond that. She might even just be using you to get the man jealous that I can be with any man, I can be with a better man. She knows that this man is not the best, but she loves him, and that's all that matters for her. She might even be using you. You have to maintain your dignity and refuse to be used. And at that point in time, you even need to look at yourself like, maybe I loved an illusion, because how does it serve me to love a woman that would use me? I'll never forget a a soap I watched where this was really devastating. They were married for, you might say these things don't happen, but they do. I've heard second hand accounts, true life stories of something like that actually happening, except it happened for a different reason, like where very old people in their 70s, a man in his 70s goes to court and say he wants to divorce his wife that he has been married to for 50 something or 40 something odd years. And his reason is that he wants to marry someone else. Of course, usually he's a younger person. But in the context of the story I'm about to tell, this one is even deeper because the man has been married to this woman for 50 something years, but he was in love with another woman. So it was a love triangle kind of thing. He was in love with another woman, but she was arranged with a man that had more means than he did. And it was like she had to marry him, and she did. So she got married, and he too decided to marry someone that loved him. But for all those 50 something years, he did not love her. They had children. They have grandchildren. Could you believe that this man, the moment the woman he loved 50 something years back, if no more, the moment the man she was married to died, he got up and started moving around her. It wasn't long before he asked for a divorce. Where do you want a 60 something year old woman to begin her life? How? Where? Like all her life, she never experienced love. She had to watch as her husband just gave her, was just cordial to her. The only closeness she gets to him is sex. And God knows what he's thinking about while he's having sex with her. Like, all those years. For what? He still went back to the woman he loved way back then. I thought it was selfish to do, but he did it anyway. Leaving this woman high and dry. I mean, it's crazy. Our own husband didn't die, but she never had him until he physically removed himself. And his reason is he wants to be with the woman he loves. Can you imagine your grandchildren hearing that kind of thing? I like, that would be just so crazy. But I told that story because I don't want you to find yourself in that situation. A person can be with you for a lifetime and never love you. So it is important that as much as you love them, you might think your love will be enough for both of you. But it's not going to be enough to keep them with you. If and when they want to leave, they can always leave. So it's very important that when you see that this woman is entangled or she's already involved, you make sure that your feelings do not grow for her. And you keep your distance. You keep your distance. You keep your distance. At that point, you now ask yourself, do I want to wait? Do I even have a chance? What exactly will I be waiting for? For a relationship to fail? If you're a praying person and you believe that God has told you this is the woman you want to, he wants you to be with, It now becomes a God, if this is your will, make this happen. I don't know how, but just make it happen. So I would say keep your distance. You've made your intentions known. If if you two are meant to be together, you'll meet again. And by that time, both of you will be single and available and willing to be with each other. Single, available, willing. I think I need to write that down somewhere. Those are the factors that should encourage you to let your feelings grow. But if the woman is single but unavailable, or she's single and unwilling, I don't think there is anything you can do. There is nothing you can do that would not destroy the goodness in you. You now become an all is fair in love and war kind of person. Whereas even in warfare, there are rules of engagement even in warfare. In other words, you can be fair in warfare. You don't necessarily, it's a choice. You can be fair in warfare. You can choose to be fair. Same way you have to also choose to be fair in love. And that golden rule, do unto others what you want others to do to you. If you go butting into someone's relationship to destroy it, it will always haunt you because you know that this woman did not come to you of her own volition. Like she did not sit down on her own and say, I like this man and I want to be with him. No, you barged in, manipulated the situation and all of that and got her. But did you really get her now? No. You got someone that can be stolen, in quote. So it's important that you make sure that this person is willing. You're intelligent enough to know that. Don't just go in there hoping to change their mind. No, they are the ones who have to change their mind. They are the only ones who can change their mind. They are the only ones who can decide that I want to be with this person and I want to love this person. But you don't jump into marriage straight away. You start a relationship, right? You start a relationship. Give space for her to respond to you and not just try to show her that you are the better one. Just be you. Be you. Start easy. Don't just shower her with affection and gifts and all of that because you feel like that's something you have to do or something. It might be something you want to do, but give her space to actually really look at you and see you as a person. And another thing is don't be afraid to lose, in quote, her. It happens to women too. It happens to people. It would hurt, but it will hurt worse if you try to get her to feel so beholden to you that she feels she has to marry you. A part of her will resent you. And if that part of her, if she has tiny piece of resentment towards you, it is going to padlock her willingness to even want to like you. It would just padlock. See, that part of her that would be willing to open up to you would just lock. That is the padlock. Resentment is the padlock of willingness, especially for women. So, in other words, just be you, just be normal, just start slow. Friendship, what do friends do with each other, for each other? That's it. Nothing over the board. Don't begin to now do things for her that she feels that she owes you. If you find yourself in a situation where you want to do something for her, like make it a partnership of some sort, I don't know, but avoid having to do that. That way, she only sees you and not what you are willing to give. She just sees you as a person. She gets to know you, not your gifts, not your generosity, but knowing you, knowing what you like, knowing what you don't like, knowing what amuses you, knowing what interests you. Isn't that what you really want? Somebody who gets to know you. And then you begin to see the way she responds to that. And the way she responds to that, to knowing you, you will know that at that point she's opening her heart to you. When maybe she gets you something. Maybe it's your birthday and she gets you something based on a conversation you had. And she said, well, I know you like this stuff and you've always wanted to get it for yourself, but somehow I just said I should get it for you. That's when you know that I think we may have a chance here. But don't get too excited. Rein in your emotions. It takes a lot of control to do that, because your impulse is just convince her and hustle her into marrying you. No. You don't want her to resent you. You want her to want you. You want her to desire you if it is within her to do so. But if it's not within her to do so, it will hurt, but be gracious enough to let her go. And you letting her go would release the person that will love you in the same capacity that you have to love. That's what happens. Like someone who has the capacity to love the same way you do will be released to you. And what more? Someone who needs your love as well. It's not someone who just loves you, but someone who also needs your love. Like they can love the way you love, probably even love you more than you love, but also they need your love as well. And that person will be released to you. At first, you'll be like, I am not interested. But you have to remember where you were at. You have to remember how you have to treat this person the way you will want to be treated. The way you wished that maybe the woman you loved would have handled things better. So there will be ways you will speak to her where you don't make her feel totally terrible, but you are frank and honest with her in a way that doesn't hurt her. But at the same time, she understands where you are emotionally, that you're not available at the moment. I think I'll continue this in another episode. As always, remember to guard your heart diligently, for out of it flows the issues of life. And know that they that know their God, they shall be strong and they shall do exploits. Love the Lord God with all your heart, with all your might, with all your soul, with all your strength. Shalom.